Hello, hello there, people of the internet. I'm Ali Ayano, and welcome to another podcast. Hope you are having a fantastic, dubious day. And we are here to talk about how context gives the full story. And we're going to talk about C19. You already know what C19 is. It's the reason 2020 happened. So, I recently made a video, and so many people on there telling me it's wrong or that my claim is wrong basically because of the ingredients in said vaccine, this, that, and the third. But I wasn't leaning on the ingredients. That's the thing that they seem to not understand. Like, the ingredients did contribute. I'm gonna be honest with you. But the ingredients were not the entire story. The entire story includes not only the ingredients, but the fear of the people not being informed about the true nature of any freaking vaccine, as well as the time frame of it all, right? And to sum this all up, I gave an extremely basic description about what a vaccine is and what a vaccine does to help cure you, into which is nothing more but exposing your body to a disease that's similar to said disease you're getting a vaccine for, or is the exact same one in a smaller dosage. And your body basically documents that as evidence, being like, okay, the next time this pops up in our body, we fight it. A whole bunch of people, and I do mean a whole bunch of people, I didn't even argue. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was just this one lady. I still send her love to this day. There was just this one lady who was so passionate about it. After that, I just said screw the comments. The ones who are listening will truly understand. But then TikTok flagged part two, which is the most important one. They flagged part two of it. So now, not only does part two exist, now I have to do this in a better version, in a better form, to better gain clarity for those who feel like the ingredients were the main issue. The ingredients were never the main issue. It was the time frame thereof. Take into consideration when this first hit, you have many people social distancing. You have many people that were afraid of contracting it. You have many people who were just unsure about all of this happening. And then all of a sudden, you just have companies, random or not, random or known, just automatically coming out and saying, hey, we have a vaccine, this will make you better, without giving people the information and without being transparent. And what's funny is the fact that I truly believe that the vaccines were already completed. It's just the fact that they were misdosing so many people. And I just see how many people would think that it's a conspiracy. And I used to be one of them, but now really looking back and standing back, all of that just falls under human error, right? Like, when I see an event like that, I don't see it as, oh, somebody's trying to control you, somebody's trying to do this, that, and the third. I see that as a random event that, while yes, those who are trying to be in control will abuse it when it happens, weren't really planning for it. It's just like a person who sees an opportunity. They never planned for the opportunity to come. They just took it. You feel what I'm saying? They just took it and ran with it. And so that's how I see the entire events of 2020, 2021, and 2022. Going into the middle to end of 2022. And I'm still staying on my point. Because I'm not here to I'm not here to over explain my point. But I do want to just make sure that you know that this is a heavy example of how context can truly shape a person's belief on an entire situation. Like, you could think something is one way when you don't even have the full story. Even even if your claim is the main reason, it's still not the full story, right? Like even though the battery powers up a car and starts that starter motor, that doesn't mean that your battery is the one that causes your car to really drive. And likewise, it wasn't just one thing that caused it. It was multiple things amplifying each other to the point where it blew up into something so catastrophic. And that's the thing about it. And so whether I was right or wrong about the nature of what ingredients were inside of said vaccine, the truth of the matter is still the same. Whether or not our government knew about it, they still took advantage of it to try to steer the narrative. Whether or not people knew about it, no, whether or not these companies knew about it, they still rushed it out without properly finding a dosage for each age group, each ethnicity, each person. And people still didn't seek the knowledge into why they should get a vaccine. You feel what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter whether or not my claim on how the nature of the vaccine and how it was made is true or not. The fact is that was amplified by other events. And that's the importance of context right here. When you try to say one thing is the major problem, you're ignoring so many other things that contribute and amplify said problem to the point where you just look at it and be like, oh, that's the problem. And you ignoring so many other things that add on to it. And that's the issue that I see with most human beings, not all, but most. They always think that one thing is an issue when there's so many other things that compound onto it to amplify said issue, to amplify it into freaking proportion, even themselves, right? Like you can go through a simple issue and yet your own mental state will amplify an issue to the point where it's way worse than what it really is. And so whether it was the 2020 incident or whether it's just a small situation into which you misinterpreted something, there's always context that is necessary for clarity. That is why you have to strive for clarity. You don't just outright say or speak something without taking into consideration multiple factors, which is why it's so difficult to try to relate to everyone and try to bring something for everyone when everyone's freaking position, situation, and standing in where they are right now are so vastly different. Like that's the best and worst thing about being a human being. You have a truly different life from your next door neighbor, from your father, from your mother, even from a person across the entire globe. And so what can work for them will not work for you. That's the importance of context. So while yes, what you may say may be a main driver, that doesn't mean it's the number one thing that's causing the entire thing. Because remember, if you think that the main thing about a pizza is the bread, then you would be like, oh, let me get more bread or let me make more dough. And then you end up with a whole soft, spongy focaccia like bread that is delicious, but it's way too much. And that's when you realize it's not just the bread, it's the balance of the tomato sauce and the cheese as well as the toppings that I have on top of it. You see what I'm saying? Like there's so much context that go into this that people just outright ignore. Like that's the thing about it. People ignore this and they claim that they know it all. That's the thing. You claim that you know it all, but you never take into consideration each and everything that goes into it, which is why so many people would get caught off guard no matter how many times they do the right thing. You can do the right thing so many times, but there is always one thing that you will overlook that'll either catch you off guard in the worst or best of ways. That is why that is so detrimental to your experience, your life, and everything that you do and think. There is always something that you do not take into consideration that you tend to overlook. And once you notice that, that is when you can really maneuver in the ways that you can maneuver to maintain your power. And when you finally realize that, when you finally realize that a situation, no matter if it's the main thing, is just amplified by other things from the past or from the future or from whatever thing, idea, or person that has added onto it, now you see how a situation can become way worse than what it is. Like, in comparison to you not liking your friends, right? You could just already not like your friends because of the way they treat you. But then you find out that they were talking about you behind your back. Now that just amplified the whole situation of I don't like them to I despise them. You feel what I'm saying? You see how one detail can just elevate or de-escalate a situation from what it really is. You feel what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter if it's an internal thing or an external thing. Context is always important for what you want in life, no matter what it is. Like, and I will keep reiterating this. I will keep reiterating this until it's in your skull. Context is the only thing that will really amplify or de escalate a situation, an idea, a thought, a crowd, a person, whatever it is. Literally. Matter of fact, matter of fact, let's take this for example. I flick it and it creates a loud sound. You could say that, oh, it creates a loud sound because it's able to reverberate sound. But there's also the case of it's a thin metal, into which thin metals can automatically create sounds. Combine that with the fact that this metal is also known to reverberate it no matter if it's thick or thin, and boom, you have a powerful sound from the same amount of energy because of the context of the knowledge that you engaged with. And it's the same thing, no matter if it's problem solving, if it's issues that need to be solved, if it's a catastrophe, there is always details that we do not factor in and take into consideration. And that's always been the truth about everything we live through. And to really hammer this down, I thought for so long that I could only succeed if I left my hometown. I thought this for so long, so I never took those chances. But then one day I was just like, screw it. Let me go and just do something. And then I figure out that I never needed to leave my hometown. I still want to, but I don't need to in order for me to succeed. Into which I had a thought about something that I was doubting, and then it was amplified, right? You feel what I'm saying? It was amplified by everything externally that I seen. And so I was like, man, I can never do that until I finally took that first step. And this could really happen to you. Like, you can have an idea that you can really do, that only you can do, but you never take that chance because of someone else or yourself or the internet, AI, or just the information or whatever it is telling you that it can't be done. And that amplifies. And don't even get me started on if you fail and you just don't realize that failure is part of the process. If you don't realize that failure is part of the process, that's what's going to amplify your belief system even more, into which you feel like, oh, I can't ever do things right, into which you don't understand that failure is part of the process. So you amplified your own issues by not even realizing that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, a situation can be as small or as large as you make it. And that's just the fact of it all. No matter if it's the vaccine, no matter if it's whatever you want to do, no matter if it's just you going to the store, there are always factors that you cannot account for. No matter if it works in your favor. That's the thing about it. Sometimes these things that are unforeseen can work in your favor. Other times they don't. And depending on whether or not your soul and spirit is pure, is how many times that you will tend to get that. Meaning, if you're a pure soul, you tend to get more unforeseen events that happen in your favor. If you're the opposite, the inverse happens. But you see how when you miss those small details, they truly cost you. Those small details that you miss cost you greatly, no matter what it is. And so, in realizing that, now you have the power in your hand. You have another thing in your arsenal that you can pull out whenever something comes up, an issue or something you want to do, and you can just step back and be like, okay, that doesn't mean overthink it. That's another thing. Do not overthink this, but just realize, okay, I don't have the full story. I have this, but I don't have another perspective of this. And that's another thing. You never have another perspective of the same issue. And I don't think that you'd ever have, not every situation will have a 360 view of it. And not every situation needs a 360 view of it. But in realizing that the smallest things that people may overlook that you take into consideration is what can cause something so small to blow up into a large catastrophe or to blow up in such an amazement, that is power in your hands that you can have. And so I'm gonna leave y'all with this before we switch to the next topic. Realize that you, as a human being, have the power to not only observe those small details, but to maneuver and utilize that to your advantage. And I highly advise that y'all do this for the greater good. I do not promote y'all using this for anything tedious, anything scheming, anything maniacal, because so many times in history we've had so many people that have abused others because the people under them didn't know the knowledge. That if they knew that, they would have just outright went into a revolt and a revolution. So that's why those small details matter. At least in my opinion. Like, to other people, small details are just details that don't matter. But to me, they could be the one thing that connects everything together. And you wouldn't even know it. And that's really the most romantic thing about it. It's scary to think about because so many people overlook it. But it's exciting when you realize that when you look at it and you realize what you're looking at and you know it, you know what to do with that information. And you know how to maneuver. Okay. Everybody, come on, come in. First off, intermediary hug. Sheesh, I had to went in on this. Hold on, intermediary hug. First and foremost, breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. How you feeling? You feeling good? You feeling fantastic? Hope your mind is level. You feeling a little bit better? A little bit helps, and it goes a long way. And now with that, it is time. And do not ask why I got this random pipe in my hand. I shall attack with this random pipe. Oh, but seriously. You know what? Do y'all realize how many shapes can be the same exact thing? Like, shapes are really the multiversal, omniversal materials in our entire existence. Like, this is a whole entire cylinder that's just been stretched out. But what if you were to shrink that cylinder and expand its width? Now you got a cup. But what if you were to extend its length and width a little bit? Now you got a pot. What if you were to shrink those dimensions down a little bit? Now you got a bowl. Especially if you curve out the bottom. You feel what I'm saying? And cover the bottom up too. Like, the same shape can be utilized by tweaking specific things about the shape, whether it's its volume, whether it's its height, width, or depth, and you can get a completely entire different thing for a completely different use. Confirmation. Just like tomatoes. Like, with tomatoes, you can make so many sauces, or you can have them as delicacies and ingredients inside of sandwiches or inside of stews, inside of just gourmet garnishes. Or better yet, the most versatile out of all the food chain grains, specifically flour. You know how much you can do with flour? Like, if you switch out the type of flour to glutinous to from glutinous to non-glutinous, you can end up with something that can taste like a chicken nugget. I can guarantee you that I can give you the specific freaking grain too. It's quinoa. And be careful with that because it do go through your system, right? Or you can just keep all-purpose flour, add baking soda in it and some sugar. Boom, you got cookies. Well, I forgot the butter, but yeah, you got cookies. Or you can add milk. You got a cake. Or you take all that out, add yeast. Now you got sweet bread. Take all those ingredients, just leave you with salt, flour, and freaking water with the yeast, and now you got bread, normal bread. You see how the same exact thing can be tweaked. Oh my God, oh my, wait a minute. And it coincides with the context that we were talking about in the previous one. How if you just tweak one thing, it drastically changes the entire recipe. That's the freaking one. Like, that's the perfect example for this. Because anybody can understand food. It's a basic science that anybody can understand. It's like taking a tomato, and every decision after that are just small tweaks that you do to get a different product and result. You got a tomato and you be like, huh, I wonder what would happen if I were to put this in a pot, reduce it to a paste, add water, corn syrup, and sugar, and you get ketchup. And then you'd be like, what would happen if I were to add more sugar? Now you got barbecue sauce. Then you'd be like, huh, what would happen if I were to add Dijon mustard with some mayo with the sugar? You see how much sugar goes into Chick-fil-A sauce? Yeah, a whole bunch. Even though you may be consuming a little, that's still a potent amount of freaking sucrose and fructose inside your body. But you see what I'm saying, right? Or you can be like, what happens if I don't reduce this to a paste and instead I leave it into a sauce and put it on some bread, put some cheese on that mug? Now you got a pizza. Or you can be like, I don't want to cook this. I just want it on my freaking sandwich. And now you just got a normal sandwich or a BLT. You see how changing one small thing can lead to something larger, completely larger? That is exactly what can happen for you. How changing one small thing can really boil over and create a whole entire new thing, new situation, new experience, or reinvent yourself into a new person into which you wouldn't even know that that was possible until you took that leap of faith. You feel what I'm saying? And I will continue to reiterate this. Do not overlook the small details or that little inkling in your mind. Like if something tells you when you look at a pan, be like, I wonder what would happen if I could do origami with it. Follow that. That's something that people haven't done yet. And if they did do it, you haven't seen it yet on the internet. At least you didn't see it. But that idea came to you for a reason. So you act on it, and now, boom. Now you're known for creating origami with metal. Or you can be like, I wonder what would happen if instead of jugs, I were to use an extremely long pipe. And you know what? I'm not going to say that because let's go switch that topic. I wonder what would happen if I were to take an extremely long pole and coil a whole bunch of wire across it. Now you just basically got an electromagnetic wand. Right? And that's how, and again, I will reiterate this, that's how small things that you do not take into consideration can become something very larger. And I just told you and showed you via food and science the practicalities of this, the practicalities of the what ifs and those small, uncertain scenarios that you wouldn't have ever thought about until that idea came to your mind. That's why this is so important to you. That's why it's so important for you. Once you realize this, now you can really do whatever you want in terms of creativity. It doesn't matter if you're a detective. It doesn't matter if you're a cop. It doesn't matter if you're a freaking chef, an artist, a musician. If you get that inkling of what if, you can use that to your advantage, because that's a small detail that no one has ever thought about, but it tends to blow up constantly over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And humans tend to suffer the same fate A history not learned is a history repeated. And it's so true, especially for this context. When people don't have the information and they know that they can get the information, they tend to be outdone by a person who has the right knowledge and who can apply it. Here's another thing: you can have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't apply it, you're just going to be in the same space as everyone else, no matter if you're smarter than them or not, more intelligent even. But yeah, that's why knowledge and application. Ooh, I claim that. That's why knowledge and application thereof is so important. And if you want to know what application is, applied amplification. There we go. It basically means that you're doing actions so that it can amplify. There we go. Amplification. I'm gonna work on that term though, but still. And even something small like that, I didn't even think that that was gonna be something. But in the future, that might become an actual word in the dictionary. And y'all would have probably been the first to hear it. Amplification. You're basically just taking the M out of it, right? And it's so, oh, mm, mm, And here's another thing, especially in interpretations. When you're reading a document that is very important for you to solve a case, that extra O behind that too is very important. Whether or not there's supposed to be an O behind it or not really changes the context. Really. If the note says my barber was on, no, I seen my barber at the cemetery too. There we go. I seen my barber at the cemetery too. Which two are you talking about? If it's one O, then that means that you didn't finish it for a reason. If it's two O's, then that's a complete sentence. And that's how that can really change the context of the entire situation. Like, and I will keep reiterating this. I want this to be stuck in your freaking skulls. I don't want you to overthink this, but I want you to be aware of this every single freaking day. Because I be noticing that. How many of y'all notice that I be saying so many becauses? I be saying that so many times. And even that right there, just realizing that I say that a lot can cause me to be aware and just switch that up. And so I can really pivot and be like, a random old elderly man could just crash out on anybody. Meanwhile, the context is he just probably had a bad day, or he's probably just always like that, being a whole D-head. We don't know unless we go find out for ourselves. And that's the important thing about knowledge. You should always go for knowledge, always. I want you to go for that knowledge, no matter who you are, no matter what you have to gain. Go for that knowledge. Go research the knowledge. And once you get it, act on it. Once you do act on it, you will be in a whole successful place. And I can guarantee that. Gain knowledge, act on it. Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, I can use that for editing. Hold on, wait a minute. I can use that for editing. You know what? I'm gonna use that. Wait a minute. I'm gonna use that for drawing. Yeah, ain't nobody on here for real, so. Yeah. Like perspective. Yeah. The addition of perspective too. Like, that's another thing. How you can really gain different perspectives on the same exact thing. Flip a pipe on its side, you only just see the side, you don't see nothing else. You just roll it like this. As soon as you swap it like this, now you see a whole internal depth that you, thank y'all first and foremost, but that's a whole other type of internal depth that y'all haven't even seen before. And really, you can have something like this whether you're an artist or whether you're a person who likes to create content, or even just a person trying to make a point. Like the same exact thing can be used for multiple different scenarios. Huh. It all depends on where your mind leads you. Meaning, that's the power of free will no one ever talks about. You have the free will to do whatever you want. Like, you don't have to do what everybody else does. You could really just go outside and just, again, I don't advise you to do this, but you have free will. You can really go outside despite the consequences and dance, booty butt cheek naked. And you have that free will to do that. Like, no one, what's weird about it is no one can stop you unless you're in public and police are being called on you. You feel what I'm saying? But you actually doing the act, no one can stop you from doing that, no matter the consequences, which is so freaking hilarious to think about. Because anybody can do any single freaking action. And if they're willing to accept the consequences, they're going to continue to do it. Oh my God. Like, that's basic human psychology. Like, if a person is willing to accept the consequences, then they're more willing to do it over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Again, we live in dangerous times. Again, anybody can know this knowledge. And the right or wrong person can learn the same exact thing. Again. And the only thing that connects all of these points that I've been talking about is context and perspective, which is so amazing. It's kind of sweet like that. Although, something inside me want to leave, but at the same time, I kind of just want to chill and vibe out. But yeah, to summarize this so I can post this on Tic-Tac-Toe, maybe, maybe not, we'll see how I'm feeling. Basically, those small details you miss are the ones that can truly change your perspective on things. And those small details that people don't take into consideration, that into which are your ideas, basically saying, I wonder what would happen if I were to flip a car upside down and put wheels on it. You would get a whole different reaction or a whole different product that wouldn't even require said engine. Or you can be like, I wonder what would happen if I were to turn a pipe into a flute. You feel what I'm saying? It's not that nobody can do it. It's that no one's ever tried. I guess the small things at the end of the day are important because they amplify what you really want to achieve. Whether that's stability when a situation comes and you want to feel good, or just a new type of invention. Or even something simple as just some cookies and a cake. Realizing that changing one thing is really important. That's nice. Okay. Granddaddy Trez gotta go, y'all. Again, I'm telling y'all, I'm a 101-year-old man inside a 21-year-old body. As always, stay peaceful, blessed up, miracle up, my grandchildren, and know that you are appreciated, well taken care of by the divine, the one above all, the higher source, God, as well as everyone that truly and genuinely, and namely, cares about you. Always remember, we're here for you. Don't be afraid to talk to us. And as always, we'll see you soon after this hug. Okay. Ashe, peace out, adios. let's see all the hate comments here. Dang it, I should have listened to. Thank you, Danny Shook. Hold on. Snowy Dreams, what's good? Let's see. What you doing garden work? Funnily enough, I actually do. Actually, you're not wrong. That's what's so funny. You're not wrong. Let's see. Boom, boom. Verbarate. So do I. Let's see. Southern Mofo, thank you. Everybody's been nice on here. But goodbye. Yes, I just ate you now.